Hello everyone, in this video we are going to look at pointers and how pointers work in C++. Now before we dive into what pointers are, first we need to understand what is memory and how a memory is arranged in our computers. So what I'm drawing here is let's say a block diagram of memory. Now memory in modern computers is divided into these memory cells. So consider that this is the memory that your CPU has. Now each memory in our CPU has what is called as these memory cells. Now each memory cell has two things. It holds the data, and this memory cell has an address. Now what is this address? Now let's say you want data at this memory cell. What you can do is you can tell the computer that at this address there is some data stored and I want the data. Now you can get the data by telling the computer that this is the address. Each individual memory cell in the computer has this feature of address, and it holds some data. Now, I will not go in more detail about how memory is stored or how it's produced or things like that, because then it's like a whole another video for this memory only. It takes in some capacitors and transistors and all, but I don't want to go into that detail. But think of a memory as some data block, and it has some address. And at each address, if you tell the computer the address, it will give you the data, what is stored at that memory address. Now, when you write int var is just a variable in C++. So what it does is, let's say you have a memory block. Why I'm taking a memory block is this int takes in four bytes of data, and let's say one memory cell is equal to 1 byte. 1 byte. So when you say that there is a pointer, I will define a pointer as int star p, and then p equal to and var. Now I'll tell what this syntax is in a bit, and when we go to our computer screen as well. But think of this p as a pointer and this var as a normal variable. Now a variable is stored in these four memory blocks. Okay, these four memory blocks. Why I'm saying these four memory blocks is because I have defined the variable of type int, and int takes in 4 bytes. So 4 bytes needs 4 memory cells, since we have defined one memory cell as 1 byte. Now this variable is stored here, but these memory cells have address ADDRE. But now you might be thinking that, well, this is a pointer, and what a pointer does is it points to the memory cell in which our data is stored. But this data is stored in like 4 different cells. Which memory cell will it point to? So the answer is very simple. It points to the first one. And why the first one? It's simple because you can then increment the pointer by 1, and you can see that there is this data stored in this 4, and you can get all the data when you dereference it. What dereference means is you are this is a pointer, right? So this pointer points to something, points to var. Now when I say dereference is, now I want the data stored at var, which is my variable, and this process of doing this process of getting the data from var, which the pointer points to, is called as dereferencing. Now how does my computer know that this data which is stored in this var variable is four blocks of data? That's where the type of pointer comes in play. So this int star tells the computer that, hey, my data is stored at this memory address, so address would be this, and take in 4 memory blocks up to here and give me the data stored in these memory blocks. That's why we write the type of pointer, and it's really important. Now if I say that my pointer is of float star p, let's say p1, and I point that p1 to my var variable, so it does not make sense. Why? Because my var variable is of type int, and it takes in 4 memory cells, but the float variable, it takes in 8 memory cells, as in 8 bytes. So the pointer has no meaning. the data stored in those 8 memory cells would not correspond to the var variable. That's why the compiler also will throw an error that the pointer should point to something which is of type int, but it is pointing but the pointer you are defining is of type float. Now when you talk about types of pointer, so pointer type is like int star when you write, so it is pointer to int, pointer to int. Okay, now whenever you write float star, it is pointer to float, and so on. Okay. Okay, now since you have defined int star p, now whenever I do p plus 1, what will happen? So remember that our first thing was that the pointer points to the first memory cell of a variable which is stored in here. This is our var variable. So when we do pointer p plus 1, so there is additional, let's say, memory. In addition to these 4 memory cells, we have other memory cells as well. So this pointer will move to this location. Why I have chosen like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, why the pointer points to this location is because we have defined the pointer of type int star. Now int star means it points to an int, and when we increment the address of this pointer, so what it will do is it will assume that there is some other integer stored in these 4 locations, and it will increment the address from the first memory cell to the 5th memory cell. Now the 5th memory cell is the first memory cell for this integer. Okay, so the pointer always points to the first memory cell. If you define a pointer of, let's say, car star, now a car star takes a pointer of car is like what I would say is a variable which has type car. It will take in 1 byte of memory, and 1 byte of memory means 1 memory cell. So when a pointer points to a car, so if there is some memory and the variable is stored, let's say, in here, let's say it's some character, so the pointer will point to this location, and whenever you do p plus 1, so what it will do is it will point to this location. Why? Because the character has this 1 byte of memory which it takes to store character, and whenever you increment this, it assumes that there is some other character stored in the next location and increments the pointer to the next location. And whenever you try to dereference it, remember the dereferencing is done with the help of this star operator, and when you want the address of some variable, you take the AND operator. So AND operator is read as address of, and star is the dereferencing operator. Now do not confuse this star operator with this star, because this is just a part of data types. Now this is the data type of pointer, in which this means that this is the pointer of type pointer to a char variable. Okay. Now whenever you do a star of p plus 1, so what it does is it gives you what it tells the CPU is that go to the address of p plus 1. Now p is the address here. Okay, so go to the address of p plus 1 and do the dereferencing, means you have to get me the data which is present at this location. Okay, and another thing I wanted to tell is that this char star p, whenever you write, so now if you try to check the size of p, it is not equal to the size of char, whichever variable you have defined. Now why is that? Because char is just a character and takes in just 1 memory cell or 1 byte, but this is the address of that memory cell. That address could be bigger than 1 byte, and it takes in additional information, so it is not equal to the size of character. So this would give me a false. What I remember is that size of this p should be equivalent to 8 memory cells or 8 bytes, but I'm not sure. When I will go to my computer screen, we'll check that out. Okay, now let me tell you something about this star operator and what this AND operator means. Now whenever you see a star operator in front of some variable, Now it better be a pointer because this does not make any sense without a pointer. So this is called as dereferencing operator, deref operator, and this is called as address of operator, as I told you in the previous few minutes. Now what this dereferencing operator tells the computer is that this pointer points to something which is defined by the type of pointer whenever you have initially defined the pointer. So this pointer points to something, go to that address, and according to the type, let's say it's an int pointer, so go to the address of whatever this pointer is pointing to, and go to that address and take the size of that data type from that memory block. So remember there is this memory block, and we have to go to this address and take in some amount of memory cells, and whatever the data is stored in there, you have to give me that data, and this, let's say we call it var1. Okay, so what this means is you have to go to the address of some variable which it is pointing to. Let's say in this case it's int, and go to that int address of go to the address of this int and go to the first memory cell and take in 4 memory cells and give me the data stored in there. Now when we define this pointer wants to point to something. Now it has to do with the address, so we need address of operator. Let's say I write it in this way. So what this essentially tells is this where has some data and it has some definition. Let's say it is also an int. So this is an int, give me the address of this int variable, and I'll store this in the p variable. That's all what is present in this. Now whenever we do p plus 1 and want the address of the next int, so what we do is we do these braces. Why we do is because this p plus 1 expression, what it essentially means is you are doing it this way. So it is important that whenever you want it to be incremented, you use the braces because of operator precedence. This star will operate on this p first, and then we'll do plus 1. So you will not get the correct answers, and we will show this in the computer screen as well. Okay, so here we are in our computer screen, and let's see how pointers are defined in C++ and how we can use them. Okay, so first thing first, we need to define a variable. Let's define a variable as var, and let's give it a value, let's say 10. Let's try to print that as well, std. Okay, so we got 10. As you can see in this terminal screen, we got 10. Okay, so let's define what is called as a pointer. So in order to define a pointer, the syntax is like this. You have to define what is called as the type of pointer. So this means that the pointer is of type pointer to int. Okay, so let's define it this way, and then let's do duplicate this line, and let's print this p. Let's see what it stores. So whenever you see you do not initialize to any kind of variable, so what it will have is some garbage pointer value, and if you try to dereference it, you will see some value is there, but that's not what we want. So as you can see, there is some value stored in there, as you can see like this. Okay, so let me do one thing is let me initialize it to our variable. So now what we should expect is it should give us value 10. Okay, so now what is going on is this pointer has the address of this var variable, and when we do and pointer, so not and star p, what it does is it dereferences the pointer and gives back the value of the int variable. Okay, now let's check the size of this pointer. So what we should expect is, since it is pointing to a int variable, so int has a size of int has a size of 4 bytes, so we should expect some same value to be printed for this pointer as well, but this is not the case. Okay, so we have to do size of p, and let's do okay. So now what this will print is, as you can see, we have this 4 and 8. So the size of int is 4 and the size of int star is 4. It's not just p, you can write int star as well, and this will also give me the same result. Okay, so it need not necessarily mean that the size of variable is equivalent to the size of pointer. Okay, so that's it for this video. In the next video we will be looking at pointers to pointers, and also arrays and pointers to arrays, and then we will look at pointers to functions as well, and different kinds of pointers, bunch of pointers, you know. Okay, hope to see you in next video. Thank you guys.